The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome, everybody, to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks, coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you can stream the show live from the station website at radiolex.us to listen to us from anywhere in the entire world. I am broadcasting from the Deborah Hensley studios here at Radio Lex on North Limestone. It is September the 4th, 2025. 4:01 to be exact. Football season is in full swing, and man, it does feel good to be back. Kentucky kicked off their football season last Saturday with a nice little 24-16 victory over Toledo. Now, yes, that was a give-me game for the Cats. The Cats usually open their season with a give-me game, and typically before the UK football season begins, before the UK basketball season begins, I always like to give a preview of how I feel like the overall season would go. Now, I am a little premature with getting the preview out for the football season. However, I don't really feel like I'm that premature. The first game was a give me. I think most people would have bet on Kentucky to win that opening game against Toledo, and they certainly did that. So I feel like it is still appropriate. The time frame is still appropriate to where I am able to give you how I feel like the UK football season will go this year. This is Adam Banks's preview of the Kentucky football season for the year 2025. I would have guessed Kentucky to beat Toledo in that first game, and they certainly did that. Zach Calzada is a quarterback with potential. He can throw, he can run. The two things a quarterback should be able to do, Zach Calzada can do so. Now, this guy, Dante Didal, is definitely a great running back. He rushed for 129 yards in that game. So we do have potential on the team. I do see that. I don't see it being a disaster. I don't see Kentucky losing like they did last year. I mean, let's look at last year. Last year was a 4-8 debacle. That is right. That's all the Kentucky Wildcats finished last year. They won one SEC game the entire year, and it was against Ole Miss. So we can't let that happen again. And honestly, if something like that happened again, Mark Stoops would undoubtedly be fired because, let's face it, he's not going anywhere until he is fired. He will never leave on his own. But looking at the next couple of games, all of the games that we have left, our next game, I feel like, is our most important game. Kentucky's entire football season comes down to one game, and that is the game happening this coming Saturday, September the 6th. It's the battle with Ole Miss. Kentucky could either salvage its season or they could build on a stellar campaign. If they could get a win over Ole Miss, it would improve Kentucky to 2-0. It would make Kentucky 1-0 in the SEC starting off, and it would send shockwaves across the college football landscape. People would be surprised. People would be bought in on Kentucky, and that would set the stage, folks, for a 3-0 start heading into the first bye week ahead of our road trip to South Carolina. So I think that this would just send a jolt of confidence through the locker room where individual players would come together. I feel like that it would get the fan base, most importantly, reunited, because our fan base is really fractured right now with how poorly the Cats have been playing. So this next upcoming game this Saturday at 3:30 at Kroger Field is the next most important game. Now, will we win this game? No. Is it important? Yes. And if my mind is going to be changed, we have to have a W in the win column this coming Saturday. Now, for the next few games, we've got Eastern Michigan coming up on September 13th. That's another give me. That will be a win. If it wasn't for the give me games, where would Mark Stoops be? If it wasn't for the give me games, where would the Kentucky fan base be? And then we've got South Carolina on the road. I feel like that's a loss. That's a new rival that we have at Kentucky. I think that the Williams-Brice Stadium is one of the toughest environments in the league. And South Carolina, they bring back key experience. So I feel like they're going to struggle down in South Carolina, so that's a loss. The next game, October 4th against Georgia, will be a loss. Kentucky, they have a history with hanging around Georgia, but they never end up pulling it off. Mark Stoops has never beat Georgia. He will be like 14-0 after this loss to Georgia. What makes me think any different this year? Nothing. I mean, even when he had the potential to beat Georgia, I still didn't think he could. He don't have the potential to beat Georgia this year, so that's a loss. The next game, Texas, will be a loss. The Texas, I watched Texas play. I wasn't impressed. Now, Texas will visit Kentucky. It will be an anticipated game for the fans. This is a team the fan base is excited to see. We're not used to seeing Texas come to Kentucky, so we're very excited to have them come to the Bluegrass. And then this is where I'm going to give them a win that might shock people, and that is a win against Tennessee on October 25th. That's going to be the turning point, could be the turning point. Now, Mark Stoops has beaten Tennessee twice before, once in 2017 and once in 2020, but he's never beaten Tennessee at Kroger Field since then. So I feel like that if he can pull that win off this year, that's going to make this season not so terrible. Of course, we're going to lose the next one at the Auburn game. We're going to lose the Florida game. We're going to win the Texas Tech game. Of course, that's another give-me game. It's a breather almost at a perfect time. So we'll win that game. We'll win against Vandy on November the 22nd. That makes the Cats so far 5-6 if you're keeping count at home. And then we go and play Louisville, and we lose to Louisville. With the Cats finishing the season 5-6, they miss an opportunity to play in a bowl. Now, what happens to Mark Stoops after this situation? Will the Cats fire him? Probably not. He's got that weird contract, remember, where he cannot get fired if he wins so many games. Now, 5 is not the threshold, but I think that we still owe him so money, it just wouldn't make sense to fire him right now. So the only way we will ever get rid of him is if Mark Stoops leaves, and he will not be leaving anytime soon. But folks, I just wanted to give you a quick preview of the 2025 Kentucky football season. Can't wait for the game this Saturday. We have a great show ahead of you today. We've got a special guest coming in the studio in the last hour of the show. Brian Spangler from Vinyl Richie, the lead singer, will be in studio to promote a upcoming show that his group has coming up. Can't wait to talk to him, so look forward to that at the last segment of the show. But folks, we still have lots more Off the Cuff with Adam Banks coming your way after these words. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. I was watching Netflix the other day, and I was watching David Letterman's show, where he just interviews guests. You know, he's not on TV every day like he used to be. He's got that little Netflix show where he sits down and interviews people. And I saw he's got Oprah Winfrey coming up on one of his upcoming programs. He picks a particular person and just sits down with a long-form interview. And I can't wait for that particular interview because I'm sure they're going to discuss their long-term feud that they had with one another. Oprah and Dave had a feud with one another that lasted for years, and it started in the mid-1990s. See, Oprah and Dave was really just starting to pick up steam. Both of them were in their careers at that time. Dave had just become the host of his talk show. Oprah really just launched her show into syndication, and Dave was doing a show in Chicago, and he called Oprah up to be a guest on his show, and Oprah was Dave said his perspective was Oprah was rude, but Oprah said her perspective was she did the show and she was treated like trash when she did the show by some of David's fans. And it sparked a long-term feud going forward between the two, where they didn't speak for years. And it made me start thinking of feuds in general. I've been involved in a few feuds in my life where I have went a long period of time without speaking to someone. It is not good for anyone involved in a feud. What's really great, though, about ending the feud is the redemptive power that it gives you. It really lifts so much off of you. So much burden can be lifted from you when you end a feud with somebody. And it made me start thinking of different feuds that people have had, especially celebrity feuds. Ones that have been well known, not just David Letterman and Oprah Winfrey. So I have compiled a list here of celebrities who finally make their reconciling moment after feuding. Now, I have compiled a list of celebrities who have went through feuds, but these particular moments is their reconciliation moment. The moment where they reconcile. The moment where they put the feud to an end. They come together and they squashed it. They squashed their beef. Now, they say time heals all wounds, but in Hollywood, that healing often takes some years. So we're going to dive into some of the most iconic celebrity feuds that eventually turned into the moments of heartfelt reconciliation. From bitter rivalries to emotional breakups, we're going to look at some stories behind the tension, and I can't wait to get started. And we will start with this one, Oprah Winfrey and David Letterman. Now, I already explained a little bit about this feud. And what's interesting about this feud is they both were mad at each other because they both had different perspectives as of what happened. Well, finally, years later, in 2005, they finally buried the hatchet when Oprah finally got together with David Letterman, and they sit down and they finally squash the beef. After all of these years later, they finally talked about it, shook hands, and finally squashed it. Take a listen.
Did you actually think I was angry with you, or did it make a better joke?
As far as I know, the genesis of this...
People still think we have a feud going.
Yeah. Well,
do you want them to think that?
No, I did for a while.
You did?
Because it was great for me when I would bait you about coming on the show.
Yeah, for
big laughs, everybody. Oh,
for
look at
82
that.
days straight, you did.
Yeah.
How did this start, actually?
I think it was one time we were coming to do the show in Chicago.
Yes.
And I called you. I'll never forget this. I got you on the phone, and you barked at me and you said, "Oh well, the least you could have done was called me on a hard line."
Yeah.
So I thought,
I barked at you.
Yeah, I said,
I
no.
barked at you.
I said, oh no, I didn't even get beyond hello, and I've pissed her off. So then I said, Oprah, we're doing
a show in Chicago.
And we would love for you to be on the show. I am totally out of town. I am totally out of town. So so that's what, in my mind, that's where it was.
Let me tell you what my memory is. Would you like to hear mine?
Yes.
Okay. You had asked me before to do you in Chicago, and I did you in Chicago. It's on record. I did you in Chicago. And it was a terrible experience for me. It was a terrible experience. The guy in the audience started yelling, "Get her, Dave!" And you were sort of baiting the audience, and there were a bunch of drunk guys down the front, and I was trying to, mitigate the whole thing. And it felt so uncomfortable to me that I didn't want to have that experience again. That's really all it was for me.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to be in that uncomfortable
I understand
experience.
completely, and I apologize because...
You don't even have to apologize.
It never registered to me that would be offensive.
See, isn't that wild? It's the whole time Dave had a different perspective as to what Oprah had, and all he needed was just to hear her side. And really, she just needed to hear his side. So I love it that they finally reconciled after that. They finally said, "I'm sorry," and they finally squash their beef, and that was really cool.
But that's what it was for me.
Okay.
And it wasn't about you.
Right, well,
it
let's
was
just forget that.
makeup. Hello. Thank you.
I hope we can put this behind us, Oprah.
Let us do it, Dave.
All right, okay.
Is it done?
As far as I am.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
And there you go. It is done. He kissed her on the hand and they moved on. Just a feud that went on for years, folks, because of different perceptions of what happened. So sometimes just sitting down and communicating, looking at both sides, understanding what happened from each particular side could squash the beef. Okay, this next feud, this next celebrity feud that finally had their moment of reconciliation was Will Smith and Janet Hubert. And Will Smith was on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Janet Hubert played his aunt, Aunt Viv. And the feud started when Will Smith and Janet Hubert in real life didn't get along. And because they didn't get along, Will ended up having Janet Hubert fired from the show. And since then, Janet Hubert was never able to get work after that. So her career in Hollywood kind of ended, and she blamed it on Will Smith. So they had this feud where she hated him, and she would talk bad about him all of those years and years and years, all of those decades later. And even Will Smith would go on record and say that she was one of the toughest women in Hollywood to work with, and it just continued to hurt her image. But finally, in 2020, they had a Fresh Prince 30-year reunion. And for the first time in 30 years, they sat down after she was fired from the show. They hadn't seen each other since. They finally sat down and had a one-on-one conversation where they spoke to each other. And they finally heard from both sides, from both perspectives, and they both apologized to each other. And they both kind of explained in this moment why they did what they did to one another. Take a listen.
I was 21 years old.
Yeah,
You know,
I know. I know.
everything was a threat to me.
Why was I a threat?
Not you, the world. I was so driven by fear and jokes and comedy and all of that.
Yeah, you were live. You were live.
You know.
But what you didn't realize either, that I was going through a lot at home.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You didn't know. You guys didn't know. Very abusive marriage.
You know, I have children.
Yeah.
I've been divorced and I have a second marriage, and I can see now the level of pain and the level of struggle that it was for you just to show up every day. And then...
But you took all that away from me.
Mm-hmm.
With your words. You know, words can kill.
Mm-hmm.
I lost everything. Reputation, everything. And I understand you were able to move forward, but you know those words, calling a black woman difficult in Hollywood is the kiss of death. It's the kiss of death, and it's hard enough being a dark-skinned black woman in this business. But I felt it was necessary for us to finally move forward.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that I have blasted you to pieces.
No, it is so. First of all, thank you for sharing that with me. Like, I didn't know that. When I look back now, it's obvious that you were having a hard time, and
I was so happy that they finally reconciled, folks.
I felt like you hated me. I could not do a 30-year celebration of this show and not celebrate you.
I loved it. There we go. I mean, it was 30 years in the making. I was so happy because she really was the best Aunt Viv. Out of all, I mean, they had another one. They hired a new one, but she didn't even compare to the old one. And it just really sucked knowing that in real life, the Aunt Viv that we all knew and loved was really hated by the family in real life. That was really hard to take. So it was really good to see that reconciliation finally all of those years later in 2020 for that reunion. Okay, just a couple of more here, folks. And we're talking about, if you just joined us, we're talking about celebrity feuds who finally had their reconciliation moments where they finally reconciled. So this next feud is Suzanne Somers and Joyce DeWitt from Three's Company. They were co-stars together in the 1980s on that very famous Three Companies TV sitcom. Now, everybody knows the story of what happened to Suzanne Somers. She was fired from Three's Company because she asked for more money. And she didn't just ask for more money, she asked for a significant amount of more money, and they fired her from the show. And it caused tension between her and her co-stars. And Suzanne Somers never spoke to her co-stars again since she had been fired from Three's Company. So until this interview right here, where she is finally reunited with Joyce DeWitt for the first time since she was fired back in the 80s. This happened in 2005 when Suzanne Somers had her own talk show at the time, and she invited Joyce DeWitt to come on her show so they could talk about the past and be reunited and finally put their feud to rest. Take a listen.
Okay, it's time. It's, wow, it's been over 30 years since Joyce and I have seen each other, so I have to admit I'm a little nervous. But let's do it. Joyce, come on out. Oh, my God.
Holy Kowski.
Oh, my God.
Hi, honey.
Hi.
Hello. I agree.
Wow.
I know. God bless you.
You look good. You too.
Thank you. So do you. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you for creating this opportunity, babe.
It's very emotional, isn't it?
It's, I was thinking, getting ready to come over. Was I nervous? Was I a little scared? Was I excited? Was I self-conscious? Was I worried? And in the end, it was just, no, I'm just glad to be going and glad we're going to do this.
Resolution. Everybody was asking backstage, well, how do you feel? I said, you know, you can't plan feelings. I don't know. But I have to tell you right now, I am I'm very overwhelmed with emotion. So,
then I need to say thank you for creating this opportunity.
Your hands are cold like mine.
Yeah. Circulation stops at the wrist.
Right. You cracked me up because as you go through what you were,
I love it.
Did I feel this?
I love it.
That?
You know, you had two women who really never had a falling out over something one did to one another. It was really just a falling out over just a bad situation that they both were involved in. And sometimes when that happens, people fall out over it. Now, I've got one more to play for you. This is the feud between supermodels Tyra Banks and Naomi Campbell. They had a big feud in the 1990s, and that is when they both at the time were the top black supermodels in the world. And Tyra Banks said at that time, the world only had room for one top black supermodel, and Naomi Campbell was it. And she felt like that she didn't have room to be a top supermodel because of Naomi Campbell. And she always looked up to Naomi because that was her hero. But finally, when Tyra got big enough to work alongside Naomi Campbell was apparently very mean to her and treated her very poorly. Well, years and years later, Tyra ended up getting her own talk show and invited Naomi Campbell on her talk show and confronted Naomi Campbell about their feud. All of those years later. Take a listen.
I want to go back to when I was 17 years old. So that was about, 14 years ago.
How old was I? I was 17. I was
18, 19, 21.
Yeah, 21.
So,
1991.
Yeah, 1991. And I don't know if you know this, but even before I left for Paris, I had your pictures plastered all over my bedroom walls.
I didn't know.
Yeah, all. Oh. I had your pictures all over my bedroom walls. And I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the Azadina Laya fashion show that we did
when
together?
We had the braids.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember. And the little white frilly things. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember
So you remember
very
that
well.
fashion
Yeah,
show?
yeah.
And I called my aunt. I said, she's right behind me. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. She's right here. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Just a couple of weeks ago, I was at home looking at her pictures, and now I'm in a fashion show with her. But Naomi, do you remember what you said to me?
That
Now, I
you
want
said
you
something awful and cruel.
Awful.
What did I say?
You said, I heard you talking about me.
Which
You
I
used a
do. I
bad
hear
word.
everything from everywhere.
Yes, no, but no, you said you heard me physically. You were right behind me. You
Right.
heard me talking about you. You called me the B word, and you said, and we have a photo shoot to do in Anguilla, and it's not going to be pleasant if you're talking about me like that.
I probably did say that.
Why did you say that?
Because I probably just heard the tail end or just thought it must be negative.
I love
which
how-
it wasn't negative, so now
I love how she didn't
So I'm
deny
really
it.
sorry.
She said that she did say it.
What are some of the things that
And I love in situations like that, people do get confronted, but they were eventually able to squash the beef.
for sharing this moment with Naomi and I. It was very emotional for me, and it was a cleansing and a therapeutic
Very therapeutic.
session that we had with each other.
And closure.
And closure. So thanks for hanging out with me, everybody, with this. And
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was pretty much it in a nutshell. I wanted to talk about celebrities who finally had their reconciling moment after feuding with one another. Always squash the beef. Life is too short to continue to beef. But folks, we still have lots more Off the Cuff with Adam Banks coming your way after these words. Stick with us. We will be right back.
Help! I need somebody. Help! Not just anybody. Help! You know I need someone. Help!
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. This song by the Beatles, Help, was released on this day back in 1965, and it went to number one, and it stayed number one for 3 weeks in a row. The Beatles is one of those bands that I find very overrated. I never got into the hype, but apparently I'm the only one, because the Beatles have more number one hits than any other band in the world. The Beatles do. So apparently I am alone on my sentiment with what I think about the Beatles. But it was on this day, folks, back in 1965 that this song was released. And this day was a very historical day in history, September 4th. As a matter of fact, on this day in history, September 4th, 1940, is when CBS begins broadcasting their television network in New York City. Think about that, folks. Before today, in 1940, there was no CBS. CBS launched their network today. On this day in 1940. On this day, September 4th, in 1972, The Price is Right, which was the U.S.'s longest-running game show. It debuted on CBS on September 4th, 1972. On this day, September 4th, 2002, Kelly Clarkson is crowned the winner of the first season of the American Idol TV singing competition series. Kelly Clarkson, possibly the most famous American Idol to win, the first winner of the entire competition. If it's not her, then it is Carrie Underwood. Those two are the hands-down most famous ones. They both ended up having mainstream fame. Kelly Clarkson even has her own talk show nowadays. And then finally, on this day in history, September the 4th, 2018, Amazon becomes America's second $1 trillion company. I've never seen $1 trillion. I would love to. Maybe I'll see $1 billion, because the lotto apparently is up to $1.7 billion at this point. Nobody's bought a lotto ticket, or nobody's won the lotto, so the lotto is still available to win. You cannot win the lotto if you don't play, folks. That's the only way. That's the only way to do it. So if you've not got your lotto ticket, there is still time before the lotto numbers get drawn. All right, today's national holiday is National Wildlife Day. It is on September 4th every year, and it is a day that we take aside to just take a deep breath and think about all of the things that surround us. So if you're wondering how to observe National Wildlife Day, I think the best way to observe it is to take a hike. So I think that that's just the best way to get outside and to enjoy the wilderness and to enjoy the outside. Another way is to donate to conservation groups, and you could just get out and volunteer and help clean the place up. Here are some fascinating facts about wildlife. It says the amount of water on Earth remains constant and is continually recycled over time. It says here that scientists estimate that there are 3 trillion trees on Earth, way more trees, in fact, than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. It also says that, contrary to popular myth and opinion, bats are not blind and sometimes use their eyesight to hunt rather than using echolocation. So there you go, Wade. Bats are not blind. So if you think that you're pulling one over them by them not seeing anything you're doing, they see everything you're doing. They're not as blind as you think. And then also, experts estimate that about 200 species of plants and animals become extinct every 24 hours, more than 1,000 times the natural rate of extinction. And then that pretty much is the wildlife fact. So folks, get out and enjoy wildlife today. There is so much to this world than just 4 walls around you. Get out and enjoy the atmosphere, folks. It is some of the best it's the best moments. It's the best feeling just to get outside and enjoy the fresh air. Well, folks, like I said at the top of the hour, we have a special guest in studio. We've got Brian Spangler, who is the lead singer of Vinyl Richie. And Vinyl Richie is a awesome group. I've had them on the show before, and I can't wait to have Brian back. Vinyl Richie is a high-energy 8-piece cover band that started in 2013 as a punk trio and evolved into a genre-spanning powerhouse known for their electrifying live shows. They cover hits from the 60s to today across pop, funk, hip-hop, R&B, and more, all with a raw rock and roll edge with a full horn section and a performance style that's interactive, sweaty, and unforgettable. Vinyl Richie brings passion, power, and personality to every stage. They were voted the 2023 LMA Pop Band of the Year and the 2024 Cover Band of the Year. And they're not just a cover band, folks. They are an experience. And we're going to be talking about their new upcoming show that's happening at the Burl, and it will be happening in Lexington on September the 13th. It's an outdoor show at 7 p.m., and I can't wait to talk to him more about that. But before he comes in studio, folks, I'm going to play a little Vinyl Richie for you. Now, Vinyl Richie doesn't release original music. They are a cover band, so that means they do covers of songs that already exist. So here is a song of a live performance that they did of the cover PYT by Michael Jackson. So sit back and relax as we play Vinyl Richie for Off the Cuff's Song of the Week. And when we come back, we will have Brian Spangler in studio.
So good inside.
And see, that's why I can't wait to talk to him, folks. Just great music, and we're going to talk to Brian right after these words, folks. Stick with us. We will be...
we started in 2013. So, 2025, 12 years, I started the band.
Wow. So you've been, and has the band members kind of rotated throughout the years, or has it been consistent?
There's a couple that's been around for a while, but no, we've rotated a lot of members. So Mike Karolinko is our lead guitarist. Yeah. A good friend of mine. He's been in the band probably 10, 11 years from the very beginning, pretty much. And then Michael Peros, our other lead singer, she also plays Barry sax. She's been in the band, golly, maybe 6 years. She seemed like the new person for everybody. She's definitely not anymore.
Right.
So we have 4 people in the band right now that have been in the band just about a year or less than a year. We had a lot of rotation last year, which sometimes people just move on to other things, which is great. Usually there's no hard feelings, and we reload.
That's how it is, man. It keeps on trucking. Now, you've got an exciting show coming up. Now, talk about this upcoming show that you've got coming up and what fans can expect from it.
Yeah, so we have our 80s versus 90s Battle of the Decades coming up at the Burl Outdoor Stage on September 13th, 7 p.m. with special guests Dead Air Dennis and the Brian Himes Experience.
Oh, yeah.
And Bo Daggett.
Yes.
Yeah, so Dead Air Dennis's band, they're going to do some originals and some 80s, and Bo Daggett's going to do some of their originals originals and 90s. And then Vinyl Richie is going to be on there for, probably close to 3 hours doing a mix of 80s and 90s.
A little mix of 80s and 90s. And if I'm not mistaken, is it an outside show?
It is, outdoor stage. So
which makes it a little bit better, I feel like.
Makes it a lot better.
I love that. So it's 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So any little surprises that you typically don't put on the set list that people might hear that they typically don't?
Yeah. So, we're doing a deep cut Michael Jackson song that we haven't done at one of these shows before. We're doing a new Metallica song. Every now and then we bust out Metallica. So we got a 90s Metallica song. We try to learn every time we do one of these 80s versus 90s. We try to do a batch of new songs because this is my favorite show of the year. We love playing at the Borough, and it's just a special show. So we try to just unleash a bunch of new songs and then maybe some songs we haven't played in 2 or 3 years.
Right. Now, I know the answer to this, Brian, because I've seen you guys play and you're awesome. Now, I've seen other cover bands play too, but what makes Vinyl Richie different than other cover bands?
That's a good question. Well, our sheer number of members.
Yeah, right.
8 members. So, having this fantastic horn section. I got some of the best musicians in the area in this band, and I am not including myself in that comment. But, we just get together. We really try to dissect some of these songs, kind of make it our style. And we just get up there and play with passion. I think we're all friends in the band. And, I think just getting up there, having a good time, not taking ourselves too seriously, I think that shows through.
Now, I also read here, and congratulations, by the way, you guys were recognized as LMA Pop Band of the Year in 2023 and Cover Band of the Year in 2024. What do those awards mean to you?
I think the good thing about it is to even get nominated, it's your fans, it's the community that nominates you. So that's the most important part of it to me. After that, you get nominated by other bands and musicians that get nominated. That's not as important to me, but it's nice to be recognized by your peers. But just being included in the nominations from the community vote is what means the most.
So let me ask you: you've played a lot of venues.
Yeah.
You've played the Borough. You've played other venues in Lexington before. Do you have a memorable show that stands out to you that was maybe one of your most favorite moments on stage since you've been doing this?
Yeah, I got a couple. So playing the Borough, our first outdoor show there. So we did a 80s versus 90s indoor show a couple years ago in the spring, and we sold that out. That was amazing. And then we took it to the outdoor stage that fall. So we ended up selling 860 tickets for that show. And just walking out on the stage and seeing all these people there to see what we're doing blew me away. I got very emotional about that. So, the Borough's always special. Playing O'Neill's, they've been very good to us over the years. O'Neill's on Richmond Road. They've given a lot of bands a platform in town to play. We played a show there, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and we actually filled the place to capacity. And that was one of the first times I thought, well, maybe what we're doing is starting to click with people. And that was an incredible show. Everybody had a great time. I think it was my son's last show with Vinyl Richie before he was our drummer before he joined the Army, too. So
cool.
That was a special moment.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Joined the Army, too, and he was your drummer.
I had him in the bars playing at 17. He wasn't drinking or anything, but he was out there rocking. He's an incredible drummer, Zach Spangler.
That's very nice. Is he still doing the drums?
Not right now. No, he was playing with Vinyl Richie. He came back to Vinyl Richie and left again about a little over a year ago. Sometimes it's kind of tricky playing with your dad in a band. So
okay.
I don't blame him. But he's available, but he's not really playing right now.
Now, Brian, if people right now are listening to this and they're thinking about going to the show, but they're not completely sold on it, but after hearing this interview, they're thinking, that doesn't sound like a bad time. Vinyl Richie sounds like a good time. So for someone who's never seen Vinyl Richie live, why should they come to this show? Why should they come to the show if they're not sold on it? Why should they come?
Yeah, well, first of all, Bourbon and Beyond, I think, is that weekend, and you're going to spend $500 going to that. You're going to spend $20 for a ticket to get 4 hours of some incredible music. The Borough has the retro arcade there, so you get to experience that, kind of like a throwback 80s, 90s thing. But then you're just going to get, when Vinyl Richie takes the stage, 8-piece band, horn section, everybody dresses up. You choose your decade, and you dress up to support that decade. And we're going to play everything from Kenny Loggins to Metallica. And you're just going to get the whole smorgasbord of 80s and 90s. And we're not stuck in one genre or anything. We're going to do, like softer rock songs. We're going to do heavy metal and everything in between, hip hop. And we're going to touch on a lot of things. So,
is there a particular song that always gets the crowd going, regardless of who it is? Sweet Caroline or something?
No, one that pops in my head that always gets them going is, and these aren't necessarily my favorite songs to listen to, but I do enjoy playing them, that Simicharm Life song. And Mike, our lead guitarist, sings that one. And the horns usually start it out. And then, for some reason, Jesse's Girl.
Jesse's Girl.
And our man, Ryan Bean, he's no longer with the band. He left earlier this year. But he used to sing that. He would just crush it. And every time we start playing that riff, dun, 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 everybody just, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's an okay song.
Do you have a particular genre that you enjoy? Like, are you excited, like, when it's 80s night? Or...
I'm excited whenever we play some punk rock.
Yeah, okay.
So everybody in the band has their taste in music, right?
Yeah,
and some people love playing like disco and soul or just R&B. Some people like playing hard rock. Me and Mike are the guitarists. We like playing the harder stuff usually.
Cool. Now, so you mentioned that Dead Air, Dennis, and Brian will also be sharing the stage.
Yes.
Will they be on before or after?
So they're going to open the night at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to play probably about 20, 25 minutes, and then Bo Daggett's going on after them.
Okay. And tell people where they can grab tickets and stay updated on the times and stuff.
Yeah, so you can grab tickets. You go to our website, vinylrichieband.com. We do have a link to the tickets there, or you can go to the Burl website, which is theburlky.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if people want to find more info about Vinyl Richie, where should they go?
Website, vinylrichieband.com, or we have a Facebook or an Instagram.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, man, and I'm very excited. So, again, it's Saturday, September the 13th. It's an outdoor show.
Yeah.
It's at 7 p.m. It's all kinds of acts are going to be there, but Vinyl Richie is going to be the main show, and that's going to be, folks, something that you don't want to miss because, now, I know I'm not making this up. I watched you play at, it wasn't Thursday Night Live, was it Tuesday Night Live? Tuesday night, or maybe it was Thursday night.
We did Thursday Night Live.
It was Thursday Night Live. Okay, it was one of the lives. I just always get confused of which one it is. It was by the bank, by the downtown
The Pavilion.
Yeah, the Pavilion.
Yeah, we played there a few times. I think we played there last year, maybe.
Oh,
it was
okay.
the most recent time. Yeah.
Yes, and then you come on my show a couple of years ago, and you were promoting another program, or
We're promoting this show. Is just the earlier version of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the 2023 outdoor. That was the first outdoor 80s, 90s we did. We were promoting it here.
Now I'm always curious too, because you strictly do covers. Have you ever thought or pondered the idea of writing originals?
I have wrote originals before.
Do you perform them?
No, not with Vinyl Richie. It's been strictly covers.
Yeah. Do you just do that for a reason, not perform them?
Well, yeah, I mean, these were other bands I was in. So in the 90s and early 2000s, I was in a couple original bands, put out several albums. And then I've had some side bands, while I was in Vinyl Richie, and those just kind of went by the wayside. We didn't really release, but wrote stuff. But Vinyl Richie, we tried to just keep it, just covers, songs that people are going to recognize and like. Because when they go see Vinyl Richie, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear familiar songs.
Yeah, you should one day throw it out there randomly. By the end of the night, most people are already feeling it anyway. Yeah. So throw in a random original that you wrote. Just see how people respond. You never know, man.
Yeah, somebody like, I requested that. Like, you don't even know what this song is.
You don't even know what it is. I wrote this.
That sounds like a night at O'Neill's.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time out to come on Off the Cuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm excited, folks. That's Brian Spangler. He is the lead singer of Vinyl Richie. Don't forget to catch out his upcoming show. That is Saturday, September the 13th at the Burl. It's an outdoor show. It's going to be exciting. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. I will see you next Thursday.